what did that journey look like leading up to writing this book?
Yeah, so I wrote Success Unleashed, Mastering Your Life's Purpose. It was published last month, July 2024. And I sat down to write a book on career development, which is partially why the name is Success Unleashed. It's about achieving success in your life. But what I discovered is that you can actually, through the processes and methodologies and tactics that I put into the book, you can actually discover what your purpose is for living. I was writing, it was chapter 3 was the chapter that I was writing when this epiphany happened to me. I was putting together this thought, and I went through with my coach, and we did the method that I have in the book. And I discovered that one of the goals that I had was actually incorrect. It wasn't the right goal for me. So I was able to shift my goal, rename, instead of going to point A, I wanted to go to point B. And then I went through the process again, and I discovered that that was actually the appropriate goal. In this process, I discovered that there was a little thread that ran between all of them. And it dawned on me that is the reason that I was put on this earth to live a life, which is to uplift and enrich the lives of other people. So you have your own purpose. And if you can go through the process of writing these goals and identifying, one, is it the correct goal for you in the first place? But getting down to that foundational level and seeing, well, what's actually driving that goal to be your goal? So your purpose for living is going to be different than mine, and that's good. Again, that goes back to that spice of life. By having all the variety and the differences in people, you're supposed to have a different goal than me. But as you set more of those goals, you'll actually find that thread. And that's where I came to the realization that it's not a book just on career success, because not everybody has a career. Some people are retired and they still have a purpose.
Yeah, I don't have
Maybe
a career right now.
well, and that's okay. You still have a purpose. So if
Yeah.
you can set goals using the process that's in this book, I invented a goal setting method that I call WISE goals, which is kind of a knockoff of SMART goals, which is generally accepted as the standard for goal setting in businesses. WISE goals take it to a different level because like Jim Collins would say, you should have these big, hairy, audacious goals, or BHAGs is what he calls them. But if you're setting a goal that's so big that you can't really feel that it's realistic or attainable, SMART goals go out the window. So what WISE goals do is they help you to do root cause analysis, figure out what is your goal and why is it there in the first place. But then rather than saying, okay, my goal is to be an executive at a company, for example, instead of saying that, you can say my goal is to be an executive of a company because it supports this need in my life. And then we go through a psychological principle that I call subconscious programming. Your subconscious mind is 500,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. So I don't know about you. That's the part of my brain that I want working.
Wait, where'd you get that data from?
So when you do this subconscious programming and find these goals, you'll see opportunity everywhere you go.
500,000 or 500 times?
500,000, 500,000 times more powerful. So when you can program your subconscious mind, it goes to work for you. What goals are important to you and how do you achieve them? That can be relationships, it can be familial, it can be your volunteer organizations or business that you're running or your podcast or whatever area of life you can define success or you can define goals. We can actually use that goal setting process to truly define it and help your brain go after it. But there's also a mindset that has to be employed with it because you'll see opportunities everywhere, but you have to have the correct mindset to pursue those opportunities. And both of those principles are in this book.
Like I just made a solo podcast last week about the the environment and like what you're influenced by. And basically, it kind of is what you said about how you have to find what you want to do, what your goals are. And I think we often get influenced by, friends, society, social media, idols, influencers, the pressures of your parents, especially young adults. You have these expectations. Um, how do you, I guess, start to find your own path in that, and how do you like really start to like take action on these goals?
What a great question. I love that question because a lot of people, myself included, chose career paths based on what they thought they should do. I heard a
Mm,
story about a young man who he wanted nothing more than to be a fitness trainer. He was just
mm,
he loved the human body. He loved health and fitness, and his family said, "Well, you don't want to make that career choice. That's not going to pay you well. You won't be able to provide for your family. You need to go to law school." So, following the expectation of his parents, he went to law school and he was miserable. He was struggling on all of his classes, and he made it all the way up to about 6 months before his bar exam. He was that close, and he said, I just can't see myself being a lawyer for the rest of my life. So he actually dropped out of law school, having made it that far. He
it's
enrolled in a
crazy.
different school without his parents being aware of it. He studied sports medicine and kinesiology, and he went and he started his own personal training business and gym. And he went to his parents and he said, "Look, I made this decision, and I was so scared to tell you because I thought you'd be disappointed in me." And the parents' response was what any parent's response should be: is, "We're not disappointed in you. We're disappointed in ourselves for you feeling that much pressure." The
Mm,
pressure exists whether it's right or wrong. And people make decisions either out of a lack of understanding, or they have pressure, or that maybe it's a financial decision not to go to the right school that'll give them the skills that they need.
mm-hmm,
And earlier I'd said climbing the corporate ladder to discover that it's leaning against the wrong building. A lot of people do things that they're not passionate about
mm-hmm,
because of that pressure or expectations or a lack of understanding or knowledge. And where my focus is really people that are mid-career and sometimes early career, because let's face it, a lot of college students have no idea where they want to go in life. So those are the two demographics that I really focus my
uh,
energy on, is to help people understand what drives them, that foundational element of their goals, to help them write goals in such a way that they understand that it's fitting their purpose. And for people
mm,
that are mid-career, how do you make the transition? Like myself, I was a robotics engineer for 14 years. How did I make the change from being a robotics engineer to being a software executive, or a sales executive of a software company? That is not a normal career path. But it was because I was able to make that change, and what I've learned through it and how I can engage with other people, that helped me develop that mindset that I talk about, that I call a bias mindset, which
mm,
allows people to have a bias for action. And even when it isn't comfortable, even when it doesn't feel good, if you take appropriate steps that support your purpose and your goals that are aligned with that purpose, you can do anything, including starting a business, changing your career, uh, whatever drives you. Of course, I'm a little bit more business minded, but there are so many different avenues for success out there. All of those can be supported when you've got the correct mindset and you understand why you were given life to draw breath in the first place.